Welcome to Stories from Under the Bowl of Night. In this video, I'd like to introduce the world-building project I've been working on for some time now, and to focus specifically on that project's primary setting, a structure called the Temple of All Gods. This temple, along with the rest of the world I've designed, is meant as the environment for a fantasy novel called Under the Bowl of Night, a story which follows a young magician, we'll call him the Acolyte, as he infiltrates secret societies, uncovers an ancient conspiracy, and develops a magical formula destined to upend the world. It's a project I've been working on for some time now, and I thought it would be fun to begin sharing. The Temple of All Gods exists as the main location for Under the Bowl of Night, being both the current home of the Acolyte and also the political and intellectual heart of Under the Bowl of Night's world. It serves as temple, university, government office, and royal palace for the Universal Empire of Peace. This empire, centered upon the temple and the surrounding capital city of Umphalos, is in principle ruled by a pantheon of gods who incarnate into the temple's idols, but is in practice ruled by the bureaucracy of magician priests that run the day-to-day affairs of state. The Temple of All Gods has evolved over many ages, standing silently over the rise and fall of numerous civilizations, each of which has expanded and added to the overall grandeur of its premises until it has become a shining city unto itself. Ancient giants first set the immense stones of its foundation, and while that race was destroyed by an ancient catastrophe, the great mountain of stacked stones endured. Later human beings claimed these ruins, first tentatively, and later by building shrines on its levels to the various spirits of heaven and earth. It was not known at first as the Temple of All Gods, but was merely seen as the Temple of the people of Keshwar, a confederacy of tribes. It became the religious center of the whole known world after a series of historical accidents. The first being that the Keshwain people had the practice of taking the idols of conquered peoples captive, and bringing them back home to be honored alongside their own gods instead of destroyed. This allowed the Keshwain to exert religious and symbolic control over their conquered territories without alienating their subjects. The message was clear: we rule you, but your life will actually be better under our rule. Just pay your taxes. In time, the empire of the Keshwain grew from a confederacy of tribes to a chain of prosperous kingdoms. And after much infighting, these principalities were at last unified under a conquering king, who established the city of Umphalos as his capital. He dubbed his unified empire the Universal Empire of Peace, thereby creating an immense geopolitical entity stretching across thousands of miles and containing hundreds of kingdoms. Whether this empire and its ruling aristocracy of sorcerer bureaucrats is actually a some good in the world, or has lived up to its ideals, is a question philosophers, historians, and rebels have long contended over. Eventually, even peripheral tribes and kingdoms not formally under the rule of the Keshwain would offer up an image of their god willingly to be housed in one of the temple's innumerable shrines. This was due to the emerging understanding that if your local village god was to be taken seriously, and therefore if your village was to have any prestige at all, then your small god had to have a body to inhabit at the celestial court, which is how the people of Under the Bowl of Night's world began to think of the temple, as the royal court for their gods. And when priesthoods and monastic orders from around the world began building offices and monasteries on the huge temple's slopes, the better to attend to their gods, the soft power exerted by the temple became total and all-embracing. Now all the world turned to the Temple of All Gods regardless of their faith. Thus Umphalos and its mighty temple became the common meeting place of every philosophy and ideology in creation. This led to a golden age of incredible creativity. In the current era when our story begins, the Universal Empire of Peace has risen, at least in its heartland, to a wonderful level of magitech proficiency. This includes electrical wizard's lamps that light the streets, alchemical methods of food production, miraculous medicines, and supernaturally obtained knowledge of the brain, subatomic worlds, and sidereal heavens. So automatons, flying machines, brain-machine interfaces, and other magical marvels are common sights in the nation's capital. Thank you for watching this introduction to Under the Bowl of Night and the Temple of All Gods. In the next video, I hope to go more in depth into the symbolism and design inspiration for the temple, and to begin discussing more about the story's narrative. I also plan to model the temple in Blender at some point to use as a reference for future drawings. If you'd like to see more content from Under the Bowl of Night, please like this video and subscribe or leave a comment. It would be very motivating to me, and I'd appreciate hearing what people have to think about my passion project. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, see you later.